What's up, everybody, and welcome to a very special live episode of this week's Top 3. Today, we are really excited to be bringing you three amazing new decks to the playing card market. Steve, I gotta say, man, these are some artistic decks. I'm really pumped for this, man.
I'm psyched for all three of these decks. I'm not gonna lie. They're definitely really cool things about each deck.
Absolutely, man. And I really think one of the best parts about this is they all have their own artistic touches. They all have their own little way to kind of fit the market they're looking for. Some of them may be cardistry, some of them may be magic. And in addition to that, we're also going to be having a fun little giveaway today. So hello to everyone out there who's tuning in live for this. You're going to have an opportunity to win some very special Deckin Around mystery decks that we have here. We got a whole brick of them right here. Probably won't be giving away the whole brick tonight, but for all those lucky viewers out there who are watching live, we are going to be giving away some mystery decks. So make sure to stick around to the end. And Steve, you ready to do this, man?
I'm ready. I've been ready.
All right. Let's jump into it then. So I gotta say, I am so excited for this week's episode. I actually am really pumped for these decks, especially, you know what? We got a real newcomer to the whole kind of, I don't want to say deck game here because they've had some decks out in the past, but we see a great Magic designer here. We see a great Magic company coming out with a deck of cards. You ready to hear what number 3 is this week, Steve?
I am. I'm excited.
Me too, man. So coming in for number 3 this week, we have the Providence playing cards by 1914 and Destino. This deck is printed by EPCC on their premium stock and is part of an unspecified print run and retails for $15. Now, for anyone who knows 1914, they put out some amazing Magic gimmicks. And I have to say, man, them getting into the deck market makes a lot of sense. This deck is absolutely spectacular looking. I'm actually shocked at how good it looks, man. And I am, I was a little surprised by it. I didn't know what to expect at first, but I think they did a great job. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think, geared towards Magic, but can be used for cardistry.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I think one of the really cool things about it, and we'll have to show it in the deck itself, there's a central element on this back design that would make it pop for any sort of spinning or really cardistry-oriented movement, hands down.
Yeah, I agree.
You ready to check this thing out, man?
Show me.
All right, dude. Let's do it. So you can see here this beautiful gold foil tuck box here. And one of the things that I always love, and it was actually a EPCC deck for me for the first time that had this side load tuck. I cannot get enough of that thing, man. Destino collab with the 1914 right here, creating a luxury playing card deck. Beautiful gold foil all over the place, including on that ad copy, which Steve has a little bit of trouble getting focused on because it's just so shiny, dude.
Too much of a shimmer, dude.
Who ever thought Steve would say that? But dude, I love this back design. I actually think this is such an intricate and interesting back design. You can see it's all metallic ink on the back, except for that central element is actually a beautiful gold foil there. And of course, EPCC coming through with that kind of multimedia, multi-ink style on this deck here.
Yeah, it was a little clunky though, out of the box.
Not surprised by that. Being on their more traditional, premium stock, it is obviously a little bit thicker, not as easily handling right out, but some of the best decks out there for handling, once broken in, are EPCC, no question about it. Yep. Got a really cool ad card there, and then you have this fun Joker, which I have to say, when looking at this the other day, this thing absolutely caught my eye. You have these non-color matching Jokers, basically the same Joker, one with a gold metallic ink and the other with black there. And then, dude, just the way they used the metallic ink throughout this deck is gorgeous. It catches your eye in such subtle and clean ways, but isn't so much so that it's like distracting, which I think is great for a magician's deck.
Yeah, I like how the pips are outlined in that metallic ink too.
Dude, without a doubt. I think, and it's so subtle, I almost had to stop and be like, did they actually outline it there? Or was it just my imagination? But I think they did such a great job with it.
Yeah, and the indices too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's really clean. I'm personally a big fan of serifed fonts, so I really do like it when they have the serifs on the bottom and the indices, but this actually looks really clean across the board, and I think that big replacement of the gold metallic ink throughout the court cards just looks spectacular.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a sexy deck. It's classy. It screams kind of mysterious magician's deck.
Dude, no doubt about it. And honestly, with such an intricate back design, but a $15 price point, it's working its way closer to that like worker deck range. I still wouldn't call it, a sub 10 worker deck, but for $15, this is really a catchy deck that you could use for something fun. You can use to kind of catch an eye in a couple routines if you're out there working on the street. It's really a nice looking deck.
The one thing I was surprised about is that being obviously a magician's deck, it doesn't come with like a double backer or a blank face card or a duplicate card.
That is a little bit surprising, and all things considered, maybe they expect you to make your own gaffs, maybe you pick up a couple and do it yourself, but that is kind of surprising because I feel like even non-magician deck these days are coming out with a blank face and a double backer or some sort of gaffed card, you know?
Yeah, no, I was surprised. It doesn't add anything to the deck, like price wise. So
Yeah,
you know,
it really doesn't, and I think from that point of view, I'm actually a little bit shocked that they didn't go with it that way, but at the end of the day, like, it happens. You know, it's not ideal, but it's what you kind of deal with in that situation. I think from the creation point of view, they probably didn't really expect anything too crazy from the magician side when it comes to those extra gaps. We've talked to a lot of magicians out there where they'll basically say, yeah, they're nice, but you use them for one or two routines. So maybe they realize that the functionality isn't as readily there and they'd rather people do their own kind of creation on it. But with that in mind, still think it's a great looking deck. And the 1914 is always dropping really fun decks
yeah,
and fun gimmicks in general as well.
yeah, mysterious. They're a mysterious
Yes.
company, which is kind of cool. Always old
Yes.
fashioned feeling.
Yeah. No, I really dig that. And I mean, we've seen some of their stuff where they did they do Prohibition Monty?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew
Uh,
that, like, dude, it's definitely that vibe, and I absolutely love that kind of style to it. I mean, I just remember the video for that, the entire thing being shot in that like Prohibition era bar was so dope.
yeah, that's how all their stuff is. And I mean, this
Yeah.
deck definitely fits in that category.
Dude, really nicely done. No question about that. And I got to say, so we're coming into the stretch here for number 2. But before we jump into it, of course, everyone out there, make sure you are liking the video and subscribing to the channel if you haven't already.
And please ring the bell.
And because you've stuck it out this far, we are actually going to do our first live giveaway for the night. I have no idea what we're going to be doing for it. I have no idea what deck you're going to be getting other than it's the best wrapped out of the bunch. I promise you that.
Oh,
You,
dang.
you see some fun little wrapping paper. Excuse my excessive tape use there. But this deck is going to be going out to one lucky viewer right there, right now. So for everyone out there, let's come up with a fun little thing. Steve, what do you think we should do for this one here?
Oh, God. You know what? I have a good idea. Let's roll into the second one. And then right before the first, we'll see what everybody thinks.
I mean, so, okay, fair enough. We can roll into number 2 here, and right after number 2, someone is going to be winning this deck right here.
Excellent.
It may just be that I randomly scroll and click on a comment, and that person wins. So we'll have to see. So make sure you're all in here commenting for your best chance at winning a deck. So, Steve, why don't you tell us what's coming in at number 2 this week?
Number 2 is a new one, dude.
I'm excited.
Yeah? Are
Yeah.
you ready?
Let's hear it.
All right. Number 2 is the Marvelous Decks Hummingbird Feathers. It is designed by Chris Tipton, and it is it's printed by Katamundi on their Slimline B9 stock. It retails for $25, and it is a 1,000 print run. It actually comes in 3 different versions. It comes in red, purple, and this kind of cool teal color.
Like the teal blue. I love the colors on this, and this has been a long-awaited deck. I genuinely think that the way Keller and Marvelous Decks and the designer put this all together, I know it was a long process to really get the perfect feel for it, but this thing looks spectacular, man.
Yeah, and you know the one thing that a lot of people don't know, it was designed by Chris Tipton, who owns Fresh Impressions, which
Is
to
really
me,
cool.
I think is amazing. The fact that
Yeah.
he has this print studio, the letterpress print studio, and then design this deck definitely shows a lot of talent there.
I love Ryan Butler. I'm just highlighting your comment here. I can still hear the Deckin Around ads in my head. I'm going to tell you right now, this deck coined the term shimmer,
Yeah.
and it has stuck. And this thing is a gorgeous deck. So why don't we jump right into it and check it out, Steve?
Let's do it.
All right, man. Here it is.
Dude, this tuck box is, I mean, so beautiful. The depth
level.
on it just surprises me. It has so many levels. The embossing literally comes off that tuck box. I mean, 3 or 4 layers. I've never seen a tuck box that has this much depth on it.
It's crazy, man. That thing is beautiful, and you can see it. It really catches the light.
Yeah, and this teal blue, the way the gradient kind of goes from light to dark as you kind of go through, the back design or tuck box for that matter, does have some really simple ad copy on the bottom, talking about Marvelous decks, which is really cool.
And then here's the bring it home shimmer here.
Dude, the one thing I love about it is it's really, really subtle until you turn it just the right way, which is kind of like a hummingbird.
Yeah.
I thought it
And
would
then it
be,
just like flares up.
yeah, normally, when you're looking at cold foil from Katamundi, it pops no matter
Yeah.
what. But I like how the effect of this deck just really mimics a hummingbird, which surprised me.
The fan styling almost kind of reminds me of the Draconian decks a little bit.
Dude, right on point. So
Yeah.
good. I actually love this fan. There's a little ad card with some holographic foil on it. Beautiful touch. There's your ace of spades with the nice hummingbird feather detail in the back. It definitely has all custom pips, custom court cards. And if you see on the pips, it kind of has this like little kind of fade in the top corner. Kind of reminds me of snow-capped mountains.
Nice. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, which don't really go together with hummingbirds, but I think it looks really cool. And then across each one of the face cards, it says Marvelous across the middle.
That's really cool. Dude, I love the fact too that they use like Arco style courts here. Looks
Yeah.
so much better.
Yeah, but they are custom, which is really
Yeah.
cool. They
Yeah,
have,
because you can tell in the facial expression they're a little more detailed than the normal Arco.
yeah, and look at those beautiful aces. Each ace has a beautiful different hummingbird.
Yeah.
And that tail blue holographic foil, dude, it's gorgeous.
It looks so good. I can see the marvelous almost in like the pointillism style there. It's really subtle but really clean.
Yeah, it's kind of like a watermark, but
Yeah.
it looks good. It's not too bold where it distracts from the deck, but it
Yeah.
kind of keeps with that brand. Look at the little hummingbird eating off the flower.
Yeah. Dude, now
Yeah.
it looks good.
Yeah, I mean the foil on it, I think, is just so beautifully done. It's really hard to get foil done right on cards, and the way these court cards are done was just perfect. That
Yeah.
holographic foil is in the perfect spots.
Dude,
And,
it was, and that's why it was such a process because it's such a easily messed up process. There's so much minute detail and minute adjustment necessarily to get it hitting the way they anticipated here. So
Yeah, and the crazy thing, and take it from me, when you're doing foil in your head, you want to do foil. You want to make sure that you have all these colors. You want it to pop, but they went the other route and they kind of brought it down a little bit, which I think added so much more to these court cards.
and so what was the price point on these, Steve?
$25.
Not bad at all, man.
Yeah,
Not
and
bad at all
you
for
actually
a
get a
fully
discount.
foil.
You get
Yeah.
a discount if you do the bundle, like the 3 decks. So that's
Nice.
even better.
Dude, for a full foil deck, $25 with this much depth to it, it's just absolutely gorgeous. Honestly, we've seen what really detailed embossed tuck can cost. I can only imagine what it took to get this thing really looking the way it does. So
Yeah, they did a
absolutely
great
gorgeous.
job. And Chris
Yeah.
over at Fresh Impressions did the tuck, and man, next
It
level
looks
for
good,
sure.
man. It looks good. No
Yeah.
doubt about that. I honestly, I want to be like, oh, the tuck's the best part about this, but this deck in general is just gorgeous across the board.
Yeah, I'd like to see what people think when they get their decks, which color is their favorite. I
Yeah.
thought the purple was going to be mine, but the teal, when I saw it, I was like, man.
That's just what I was about to say is I think mine's going to be the purple, but now that you say that, I'm nervous. So we'll have
Yeah.
to see. Oh, man. So what we're going to do for the giveaway here for the first person who's going to win this Deckin Around beautifully wrapped mystery deck. And I'll tell you right now, I literally grabbed 12 decks. I wrapped them. I don't know which deck is which. There's no numbers on them for me to indicate. You're getting what you get here. It will be a recent deck probably within the past year, and it should be a fun one. It may be cardistry, maybe magic, maybe collectors oriented. So definitely worth it up. I'm going to switch through here, find out, do a little bit of scrolling and pick a random comment. Steve, ready for this? Just tell me when to stop.
And stop.
All right. I missed up. I was between a comment, and there we go. The Muffin Man.
Do you know the Muffin Man?
I know the Muffin Man now. The Muffin Man, hit us up, show@deckinaround.com. Send us your information, and we will get this beautifully wrapped mystery deck out to you as soon as possible. And everybody, make sure to stick around to the end because we have another mystery deck going out for this episode, and we're going to have a non-live giveaway going on for this video as well.
Ooh.
the Muffin Man, you lucked out there because the two comments I was stuck between, just in case anyone's asking, the other one was my comment, and that's why I didn't have to redo that because I was like, I don't need the deck. I already got it. But, dude, this has been an interesting week so far, for sure. I'm actually looking at the Marvelous Decks Hummingbird deck. I'm like, man, that was a tough number 2 spot because if that's a number 2, what's a number 1?
Yeah, it was extremely tough.
Dude, it's always, these are the toughest weeks, I think, is when we have 3 awesome decks and there's always that fight. I mean, we've had weeks where we're like, all right, we've switched up the 1, 2, 3 count 5, 6 times, and still at the end, we're like, did we make the right decision? But I think this week, number 1 is coming in strong just because of its fully custom nature. And I honestly cannot get enough of this deck. And I actually figured out the word. It's polyptic. So
is that the word?
polyptic, yeah.
Oh,
But I think there is probably a proper term for like 52 tick deck. I don't know what it would be, but with
It's a
that
deck.
in mind,
It's a deck tick.
there you go. But for this polyeptic deck, I'm really excited for it. This is actually the first transformation deck we've had on the show, and this thing is winning it hands down. So for everyone out there, you ready for number 1?
Yeah.
Dude, I know I'm ready for number 1. So let's jump right into this. Coming in at number 1 this week, we have the Bosch puzzle playing cards from Guru Playing Cards. This deck is printed by EPCC. It is a print run of 3,200 and it actually retails for $16, which for a fully custom deck is an absolute steal. For anyone who isn't familiar with Guru Playing Cards out there, they actually do some really phenomenal, really artistic decks. I know, Steve, you're a big fan. This one, we've seen these kind of like transformation decks on Kickstarter a million times. And honestly, until I saw this one, I'm always just like, not really my style. This thing is awesome.
Yeah,
Absolutely
no, dude,
awesome.
I'm going to agree. I'm not a huge fan of transformational decks. There are a few here and there where I like I guess the artist's style of bringing that across. And this is, Soonish over at Guru he just does such cool work that
really
it's
does,
more
man.
so the art rather than the transformational deck side of it.
You know what vibe it gives me though, and you could see it in the image there. It almost reminds me of like Where's Waldo, and to not cheapen the artwork at all because I think it's awesome. But there's so much going on in the deck. You're always looking at it and finding new things, which I think is really just amazing. One of the things I really love about it, because once you look at a lot of decks of cards, you find what you find. You're like, all right, this is cool. You very rarely find new details. I love a deck where I can look at it and be flipping through cards and find a new detail every single time. Another deck out there that does that for me is like any of Nick Nisko's elemental playing card decks. Those always have such fine little detail to them in a completely different way. But this for a transformational deck, dude, spot on.
And it's crazy. It's so far out that anybody's mind, how it works, I don't know. I'm just blown away when I see crazy art like that.
Absolutely, man. So let's check this thing out. So as you can see, really cool, fully custom tuck box here. No embossing or foil, but a nice foil seal on it. But dude, the artwork on the outside is just kind of a sneak peek of what's inside of this thing. There is so much detail across this whole tuck. You have a really cool matte tuck, simple ad copy on the bottom, but the artwork actually pops really nicely because of that matte tuck. Interesting back design here. And I have to say, I think out of everything, this might actually be my least favorite part of the deck. And it's still really dope because it's got a very like MC Escher feel. And that's where part of the motivation for this came from, was MC Escher's, works. And I wish I could remember the other artist's name who kind of prompted or kind of inspired this deck. But as you can see, being a EPCC classic stock, this thing actually handles pretty well. I wonder how much of that is Steve playing with it a lot or just the way it handles out of the box.
That's right out of the box.
That's impressive. And I think that's interesting that it was better than their premium stock there.
And this is totally my fault. This is not Tyler's fault. I just saw on the bottom, it's printed by Legends.
Oh, well, there you go.
Legends
playing cards. Apologies there. So it's Legends on their classic stock, which actually explains
why it handles that way.
why it handles that way out of the box, which is funny because Legends out of the box handles great. They're actually a really great up and comer. So Paul says, was the other artist Dahl? And it was not, Paul. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to be pulling this thing up here in the background as we take a look at this. But as you can see, each and every card in this deck is actually fully top to bottom, full bleed artwork across the entire thing. And the one thing I really love about that is each card in and of itself is like a miniature piece of artwork.
Yeah.
The name of the deck is the Bosch deck. Hieronymus Bosch is the other artist who inspired the artwork in this deck. So it's MC Escher and Hieronymus Bosch. I may have mispronounced the first name there, but I apologize. But if you Google what sounds like Hieronymus Bosch, you should be able to find it. That being said, you can see all of that little amazing detail. And I love the way on transformation decks how the pips on the number cards actually play into the artwork itself. So you can see each of the court cards actually has the standard looking pips in the top and bottom corner. But when we get back into the indice numbered cards, you can see that it's actually part of the artwork in a really different and meaningful way.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, it just ties into it. So cool. There's so much to it. You can see that like the storks in the background there, the egrets, whichever those were, are kind of like sitting on the pips almost. It is just gorgeous. And when thrown together, one of the coolest things about this, and I think one of the coolest things about transformation decks in general, is the fact that these are great uncuts. If you're not an uncut person, but you want to get an uncut, this is where you go. You go for a transformation deck because it's literally like a poster on your wall.
Yeah, I feel like it would take, months to go through this uncut and see all the artwork there. And I love how, like you were talking about the pips and how they're like really integrated with the artwork. And the aces are amazing.
The cool thing about it too is like each individual deck or picture itself on the cards. I love that extra card there is just
that
phenomenal.
Double backer, back would have been way better to have.
I mean, that would be a dope back in general, but it'd be so busy. But I think the really cool thing about it, though, is the fact that you're looking at each individual card here, and you can see how detailed and amazing and eye-catching they are. But then all of a sudden, the fact that you put them all together and they create this huge picture, it's almost like a mosaic. It's mind-blowing. I really can't get enough of this one. And no surprise there. That's why it came in at number 1 this week, because it really is just a spectacular deck. Very narrow margin that it snuck past the Marvelous deck there. And I saw the Marvelous decks come into the chat a little bit earlier. You missed your debut at number 2 there. That teal deck pops beautifully. For anyone asking, you are still able, I think, to get the pre-orders on their site. So you can head over to marvelousdecks.com and check those out. For anyone who missed out on the Bosch deck, it is going to be available, I'm sure, through Murphy's Magic retailers shortly at a $16 price point for retail, which is a great deal on these things. Dude, these were some amazing decks.
Yeah, it was a great week, man.
And I think to wrap things off tonight, we're going to give away my favorite wrap job, which was this one right here. Someone will get the Lucky Steve face deck tonight.
Not that you want that one.
Not that you want that one. So what we're going to do here is I want everyone to go spam the chat right now with which of your top 3 was your favorite for the night. We're going to give you a minute or two where Steve and I chat here about these decks, and we're going to then pick a random comment, picking one of their favorite decks for the night, and see how it goes. So, Steve, I got to say, man, now, I am excited. I think we need to talk to Chris at Fresh Impressions and just see how much work went into that tuck on the Hummingbird deck, man. That thing was...
I'm blown away. And just looking at the tuck in person, I mean, camera images don't do it justice. You know, you have to really look at it in person and kind of feel how raised up off the stock it really is. It's incredible.
Dude, it's always interesting to see too. And I got to say, one of the fun parts about this being live is for us, Steve and I always throw these together. And like we mentioned earlier, it's always a tough one, but we always kind of debate back and forth a little bit as what the order is. We come to something we like and we say, okay, that's it for the week, you know, and we don't always get that feedback, but I love seeing this instantaneous feedback coming into the chat to see which deck everyone wins on this week. And I'm really excited about it. But for everyone out there who's picking the Hummingbird deck, definitely picked a great deck, because honestly, it's a beautiful deck. And the one thing I always love to say about these top 3s, there are no losers in this. These are literally our way of pointing out 3 beautiful decks in the community every single week. So whether you come in first, second, or third on this, you're definitely a winner. We love showing your decks off. So for all the designers out there, absolutely beautiful.
And it doesn't mean just because we do 3, 2, 1 in this order right now, that if you talk to us an hour, it wouldn't be a totally different order.
Dude, and the funny thing about it, someone even said in chat, I love the fact that you are so sure about the Bosch set at number 1, but all the chat picks Hummingbird. And I got to say, it's one of those things where, like, I think someone's favorite deck, if you ask them one day to the next, is always going to change. You know, that's just how it kind of goes. And I love it. The Bosch for us just hit it at a different level. And maybe it was because it was our first transformation deck that we actually enjoyed looking at. That might have been why it was this week's winner. But that being said, I'm going to give another closed-eye scroll here, and we're going to pick another winner. The Muffin Man out there, I do apologize. If I pick you again, you cannot win. So I'm going to open my eyes before I click to make sure I pick a unique one here. But let's give it a scroll here and see what we got.
And stop.
All right. Well, it was on auto scroll. Give me a second. I was still going up. Let's see what we got here, Steve. Tell me when to stop.
And stop.
All right. We got Sean Friesen.
Sean.
Congratulations, Sean. You are the winner for the Steve-faced wrapping paper deck. I don't know what you're going to get in there, man, but if nothing else, you're getting a piece of art right there with Steve's beautiful face on it. So, Sean,
send it to me and I'll send it to him with this package.
There you go. Sean, congratulations on winning that one. Reach out to us at show@deckinaround.com. Give us your address and we will get that deck out to you. The other thing we want to know for everyone who's watching right now, drop us a comment in the chat and let us know, did you like this new live format? Do you prefer the older format? For everyone out there watching after the fact, don't feel like you just missed out. You are actually going to be winning. Oh, this one's not as exciting, but it's the My Arm deck. And so,
and your crotch.
And like, you know what? It is a rendering, so don't worry. It's an animated crotch. It's perfectly fine. That being said, I wish there was something fun on it. You can see actually a couple little decks in the corner there, some fun stuff. But for everyone out there who's watching after the fact, make sure to leave a comment on the video. Let us know what your favorite deck this week is. Next week, at the beginning of our live episode, we're going to be picking one random comment to win this arm deck. In my hand right now, I'm setting it aside for next week's comment winner. So make sure to leave a comment down below. For everyone else out there, also make sure to click that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with a friend who you think would enjoy it. We appreciate each and every one of you coming out tonight. Thank you so much, everyone. Peace.
See you later. Peace.